Hey everybody, we are live on YouTube. How's everyone doing? Let's see if anyone's in the chat. Anyone here? Is anyone here from Mubot to give points to? Anybody here? Let's give 50 points. Maybe someone's here. Hey, what's up, Sarah? Good to see you here. Good to see you here, Leslie. Who has questions right now? Kayla, good to see you here. Maggie, good to see you here. Who has questions? Who has questions? It's your floor, everyone. It's like, I don't know, I think about like games where like the floor is open for questions. Who has questions? I've got coffee. That's what I've got. You have questions. Can we do visualization 8 today? Yeah, sure. Yeah. Let's look at some visualization 8. That's the last one, isn't it? Oh my gosh. Holy mackerel. Let me go over here. Look at visualization 8. And I do want to say, good work on the exam last night. We're looking at it. There are, so if anyone's watching this right now, I'll just talk about the Stat 1 exam for a moment here. Well, one, don't worry if you made a low grade. If you made a low grade, yep, Maggie, that's definitely an issue. I think you know, it was the question that was on there was about the residual plots. It was there is a condition in regression that deals with the residual plots. Like regression has an additional condition that deals with the residual plots. That one was on there twice. And so we're talking about, because I think Terry looked at it and around half the students had that it appeared twice. And so we're talking about, was it half? There's another issue too. There's a question that's just actually flat out wrong. The question that's flat out wrong is actually funny enough dealing with residuals also. That question had differences was the answer. So we're talking about those issues right now. And one, it's so ridiculous. Like, let me show everyone this because you wouldn't believe it if I like Canvas regrade questions. You can regrade questions, which would be so great, but you can't regrade it if it's from a quiz bank. So linked questions from quiz banks cannot be regraded. And I know you can't see this right now. I'll show you. So we're dealing with that issue. So here it is in the background behind me. Quiz regrades does not apply to linked questions from a quiz bank, and we're using quiz banks. So we can't do this whole regrade thing where we could give people points and, oh, it'd make life so easy to be like, oh, let's give, because we wouldn't remove the points for someone who put the wrong answer that was counted right. We would just go, like give points to everybody who put both answers. Like if you put the wrong answer, they give you points, or if you put the right answer. So we're going to have to fix that one. That's a fix that we need for the test. We're talking about that one. And then there is that one question appeared twice. And I've put out a suggestion. Let's just say it'd be a nice suggestion. It would make it so that no one would be impacted negatively by it by having the question twice. We'll see what Terry, who's the coordinator, and the other people who I work with think about the suggestion. But let's just say the suggestion would make grades better for everybody. Does this go what I'm saying right there? That's my suggestion. So I've suggested because basically it is an important question. It's a good question, but it shouldn't be on there twice. So if you got it under my suggestion, and you got it twice, you'd basically be getting a bonus. If you missed it and you missed it twice, you'd only be impacted in the way that you would miss. Yeah, so our cream has went to the bottom. So we got the two issues with both questions right there, and we're figuring out the best way to address it. Put it this way. If you missed points for that one question where it had the differences was the wrong answer, we're not going to remove points, and you'll only get points. So we're going to make sure. Oh, thank you so much, Leslie. Well, that's awesome. Yeah, and if anyone, Leslie, I'm so honored to hear that. And if you want to tell people your avenue toward, like, Leslie, what did you do to be so successful? Because it's not what I'm doing. It's how you're utilizing what I'm putting out there. We're going to go over to talk about visualization 8 in a moment. So if you can say like what you did to be successful, because like it's not just being here. You have to then do the steps. So like I just want to, Leslie, I'm so proud of you, and that's what I want to say. It's like you made yourself successful. So once again, test grades will only be getting better. They won't be getting worse. If you did poorly on the test, like let's say you made in the 60s or the 70s, or even some people, what's up, Mubarak? Good to see you here. Maybe someone made in the 80s, like they made in 84, and they're like, oh, I swear I knew it all. I swear. Oh, well then one, I think you see them on the 6th. You see them on the 7th. So you should be seeing them. You should be seeing them on Sunday. We should have them open all weekend. Let me make sure they should be open all weekend. I'll send email reminders about all this. Yeah, and so that's all right. So Maggie, like right here, especially. So well, good news, Maggie. you don't have to say what you made. The practice else, yes, Caleb, love hearing that. Don't think I've done as well as, oh, thank you so much. Speedruns, Jeremiah saying the speedruns helped out. Did anyone notice that the Kahoots, I'm just going to promote the Kahoots one more time. Did anyone notice that questions from the Kahoot was on the test? Like there's literal like things we talk about on the Kahoots that are on the test. Things that are on the Kahoots. Kahoots, office hours, SI sessions. Yeah, Alyssa is amazing. Alyssa is amazing. I say so much and I thought, oh, it's all right, Maddie. That's all right. Do not worry. Here's the really good news. The really good news is you only need, so don't worry, you need to make B's. It was in the A's, but I swore I was going to do better. You only need B's to make an A in the class on the test. Now, I know that's not quite a B, but if you're making like B's on the test, you'll make an A in the class. So focus on the Canvas content quizzes and the Kahoots when I would say maybe even, I might even prioritize those over speedruns. I think speedruns are great, but literal, good to see you here, Roderick. Literally the questions on the Kahoots, I purposely am taking them from the test bank and either changing them a little bit. So you will see things from the Canvas content quizzes and from the Kahoots on your tests. So those are big, important things to know. And just here, let's do one more thing of prep talk about the exam. Okay, oh, that's, no. Oh, yeah, so let me do this real quick. We're gonna do one more little bit on the exam right here. Let me close on this. And then then we'll start doing visualization 8. We'll do a quick talk on it too. So one moment here while we talk about, let me talk about the importance of project 2 really quick. Oh, thank you so much. I got B's on all my tests, but got an A in the class. Kayla, thank you so much. Let's throw 50 points for positivity from Kayla right there. Kayla is telling you the avenue towards success right there, that you can get B's on the test and get an A in the class. Yeah, you bet, Roderick, we'll do that. The exam's the worst part, as Mubarak is saying. So it's like, here's the avenue towards success, and I need to bring up the, okay, let's go to the main screen. Okay, so let's take a look at the percentages real quick in Stats 101, and let's talk about this. Let's give everyone some, because we just took the test, and then we're gonna talk about some topics here. Let's give everyone some confidence, because that's what we need. We need confidence, and I truly mean this. I'm not saying this is a joke. You have to believe you can do something before you do it. Rarely do I hear anyone saying, like, I can't do this. Like, if someone's saying they can't do it, and then they end up doing it, it's usually because people around them are like, no, you can do it. You can do it. Like, people don't say, I can't do this. I can't do this. And then they do it. It's rare if they are saying that, someone's saying, you can, you can. So we're going to make a example student right here. So I'm putting in the quiz groups and everything right here. So I'm going to put in these percentages, and we're going to make a grade calculator right here. And maybe I'll post this. So we're going to make a grade calculator real quick. And I used to have a grade calculator. You can do all the like things in Canvas now. So we don't put it out there as much. But I did have a really cool grade calculator. Now we do have drops. Remember the drops. Canvas content quizzes. And we're almost done, y'all. Everyone keeps spreading that positivity while I go here. Project 1, project 2, project average. Okay, because the projects are unevenly weighted, which is a good thing if you did bad on project. So exam. My gosh, we got so much stuff in this class. So much stuff. I think that's everything. Okay. Now, this does not apply to the asynchronous. Theirs is computed a little bit differently. They have the modules, so please complete your modules. It'll be even easier in the asynchronous to get it with the modules. These are all worth 6%, 6. This right here is worth 5%. Visualizations, I got to make sure I get these correct. Visualizations is 7. So we're going to run some scenarios here, and I'm going to use this in class also. Canvas content quizzes, 10%. Please tell me if I get anything wrong. These are all worth, their homework's worth that. And then exams are worth 15, 15, 18. So 15, 15, 18. And the project group is worth 12% total. So 12%. And then we need to put the project grade in here. And we need this to be the total. So this will be, okay. So let's talk about this. I've got all the things here. I can look at chat again. So good to see everyone with all the positivity right here. Trying to get assignment 5 done. Awesome. Did you say the other day that we get bonus points for turning in project too early? You're 100% right, Maggie. There are bonus points for turning in project too early, so you can get over 100. So with this, let's put in here. And then we need to do project average. So this needs to be whatever this, it needs to be the sum. Oh, wait, project average equals sum of this, no, this comma this divided by 110. Okay, so you could get 10 here and 100 here, and then we need to times this by 100. Okay, there we go. And I do have that correctly, right? Okay. I don't want it to mess up. I think that's correct. I think that's correct. I don't code in Excel that much. You get 100 here, 100 here, 100 here, and now equals this times this. Wait. Oh my gosh, I'm breaking everything. We'll have this grade calculator done here in just a second. Wait a minute. We need times that as a percentage. What? No. There we go. Okay. Oh my gosh. Oh. Who's interested in this grade calculator? Hopefully I'm doing something people are very interested in doing. Who's interested in this grade calculator right here? Let's go down here and say grade. Is anyone, any 201 student interested in this grade calculator right here? So any 201 student interested, do we have 100? Of course we have 100. So who's interested in this grade calculator as I have just finished making a grade calculator right here to see what's going on? Okay, we got Maggie and Jeremiah interested in it. So you can tell me, well, let's look at right now. Let's say things went poorly, but you've been doing all the work. So let's put in score and then percent total, like let's say here, percent total, yeah. So that's the percent total you're getting out of it. And then we go right here, and we probably need to highlight these because these are going to be the areas you're going to enter in stuff. These are the grade categories. So we're just making it look nice here for 2 seconds. Always want to make stuff look nice. And then these are kind of the output response sections. So let's go here, make it look like that. And we'll make this look like this so people know you're not changing this. And then over here, we'll put in the darker green. There we go right there. And then we'll go here. This is the last little bits of niceties. Borders, and then we'll go around here. Borders. If you can't tell, I'm a perfectionist. It's got to look nice if we're going to use it. And this just takes a few seconds right here to make things look really nice. Okay, so we have almost completed it. And now let's work on this to see what we have right here. Okay, there we go. So we've created our own grade calculator right here. And so let's put in, we'll delete these. We'll make these white here. So people know you don't enter in. Those are going to be right there. Nice job, Kayla, you bet. We're going to talk about visualization 8 just briefly after this. And then we will start talking about, there we go, perfect. Okay, so we've got, and then we'll start talking about visualization 5 or assignment 5 for 320. So coming up next here, we have visualization 8 talk, and then we have assignment 5 for 320. So I will post this, and if you're not in my section and you can't get it, I will email it to you. Asynchronous, I'll have to make your own, but just realize it's even nicer. So Leslie, Jeremiah, and Maggie, it is your call if you want to talk about your grades right now. But let's say you did make like low 80s right here on this. If you made low 80s, let's say like an 80, you can still make a 97 in the class. But let's say every exam is an 80. You would make a 90.4. Now, wait a minute. I want to know from my students, would you still have an A right here? From my students, yes or no, would you still have an A? And I want to know why. Could you? I shouldn't say would you, but could you still have an A with that right there, and why? I like that number. And we just showed something I always tell everyone. I spend a lot of time making it. Oh, send me your code on that. And don't worry about spending too much time on it. Maggie, you're totally right. You're totally right. Does that make sense, Maggie? So as Kayla was just saying, she said, I made B's on the test and I made an A in the class. You could with the bonus points, right, Kaylin? That's the big thing right here. We've got the MuBot points. Thank you, MuBot.
I am MuBot.
you are, and you're awesome. You give us all the points. So MuBot points right there, definitely a big thing. We can see that with the MuBot points, that's the opposite of what I wanted to do. With the MuBot points, this person could still make an A in the class. With the MuBot points, you could still make an A in the class. Technically, and this is just the scary thing. I mean, not scary, but I mean, and then we've got like the decimals. So you can make like super high C's. Exactly, Maggie. So right now, this right here, so like those little 1 things I did at the end, if you do this path right here, you will have it. And you know what's even better? So Mark says, turn the project in early. What if it's 107 on the project? So right now, here, well, look at that. This is just scariness right here. I mean, wow. Everyone take a look at this. Maggie, if you follow this path right here, you can make high C's on the test. Now, you need to make hundreds on everything else. So this is where maybe you're like, well, I'm not making hundreds on everything else. Does that make sense? Like, this is where I'm like, okay, people, do not freak out if you made a low test. Like, let's say someone made a 60. Like, someone made a 60, I'm sure. We're definitely talking about that, Bob. So your name's a repeat name. We're talking about the repeat question. Check out earlier in the video. We're discussing it right now as like a stats one team. And so we are going to be figuring out how to like fairly help everyone out. So all that good stuff right there. So even now with this pathway, this person would make a B plus and they'd be really close to an A, but they would have a B plus. So even here, but what if you made this 60? Your pathway to success is going to be what? You would only need, if this was you need like solid B's, at least solid B's on the remaining tests. Because you can get up to the 2-point bonus. Does everyone see right here? If you did really poorly on exam 1, you can still make. So let's start talking about maybe someone isn't doing all the work though. So let's say you didn't do all the quizzes. So you got like an 88 average and your homework average, you can still improve it, but you didn't do all the homework this time either. So now this is a person who's not doing all the work. Does that make sense? They're not doing everything. They're, maybe their first project did not go well. They got a very bad grade on that first project and they haven't done all the visualizations, so they won't get a perfect grade there. Their Canvas content quiz is not perfect. So now we see this right here. So with this right here, you are in the not perfect phase, but you can still get hundreds on all these things. So maybe this is the person who's doing well, but not doing perfect. I want the chat to say though, what is the key that they should be doing right now or attempting to do? So if this is you, this is student 2. Let's put here student 2 talk. Doing okay in the class. Like you were doing okay in the class. You weren't acing the class before the exam. Student 1 was acing the class. I got a 52 on the test somehow, even though I studied hard. Well, the biggest thing, let's say you make 52s on all the tests. Here, we'll talk about student 3 right here. Well, this is student 2 also. You can still make a C. You can still make a C. And I had a salutatorian, second in their class, making the 60s on the first test and make an A. So I had a salutatorian who I think she made like a 64, and then she ended up getting an A in the class. I did not do perfect and got an A. Y'all are going to do great. Thank you, Andrew, for the positivity right there. So I've had people do very poorly on the first test, and then maybe they better understand how the test will be, and all of a sudden they come back. What is going to be the key here? What am I assuming? So Bob, let's say your tests get a good bit better. Let's just say the tests are the hardest part for you. And are you in my section? Because if you are in my section, what would you make with this pathway right now? Like this is student 2 who we're going to say like, let's say tests are the hardest for them. Like they just can't succeed at a test. I don't mean that in a bad way. It's just like, I've heard a lot of people say that like, I can't do well on the tests. Like every time I get to the tests, I just can't do well on the tests. I'm just not a good test taker. This is the not a good test taker student. So with this right here, if you are in my section and you are coming to these review sessions, no, Bob, don't worry though. What would you have? I want everyone to give Bob a little bit of extra, like some positivity right here. If this is you, what would you make in Brian's class right now with this pathway right here where you don't have a perfect grade right now. You don't have perfect projects. You don't have perfect quiz groups. You don't have perfect homework. So this is not you've done everything perfectly and then you had a bad test. This is you're doing the work generally like you would in most classes. And so not quite a B yet. Maggie, great positivity right there. You'd have a B minus with, like, you'd be right at the cusp of a B minus. And so, because it's up to, so it's up to 2 right there. It'd be up to 2. So you could, with extra credit, have right up to the 80. Now, so a B minus, exactly, Mubarak. Now, if you were to maybe, let's say, be a perfect student right now, which no one's a perfect student, but you could definitely right now, you could be at the B range. So even if you have the 52, Bob, I don't know your situation with all the grades, but you could be at a B right now. Like and then look at this. This is saying that you get D's on all the rest of the tests. But I want everyone to say, what is the key to success right here? Like, how do you give yourself all this leeway to possibly make D's on the test and then make a B in the class somehow? How do you give yourself all the leeway? This is something that must be known. Like, I can't state this enough, and it just hurts when those zeros go in. Like, I'm always entering in the zeros for when people miss things. So, I mean, I'm literally alluding to it right now. What is the key to, I could do very poorly on all the tests and still do good in this class? Do well on the assignments. Do everything else. I got this. We're throwing 100. I don't care. Bob. That statement of I got this, we were talking about earlier, you have to believe you can do it. You have to believe. It's a leap of faith, to quote Miles Morales. Or I guess, who's the first person who tells them that? I don't know. Why did you say we should do the project early? So when project 2 comes out, doing the project early is worth extra credit. It helps us with the grading of it, to have it in early so the graders can kind of space out their grading. So we've always given extra credit for doing early. I will hold help sessions for doing the project. So this student too, where tests are the hardest for them, yes. So the student 2, tests are the hardest. Oh, Andrew, you're the best, man. There's a quote about that. Andrew, you should, student 3, let's talk about student 3 for half a second here. Student 3 is going to be the student who, this is the Brian Stevens. Doesn't do all the work. And medium tests. Brian Stevens. I'm not even joking. This is me. Like, this is just flat out Brian Stevens. I wish it would appear right there. This student is Brian Stevens. So student 3 doesn't do all the tests, doesn't do all the work. Frankly, student 3 is probably going to be, he's probably got like a 65. It's me. And then maybe I need to start putting in more effort here. And maybe at the end of the semester, I realize I really need to put in the effort. My homework grades are going to suffer a little bit because of that. My visualizations, maybe I've missed a few. They haven't been perfect. I missed a few Canvas contents. I'm probably really hurting in the Canvas content quizzes. And then my first project, I didn't even turn in the first project. So you see, I didn't even turn in the first project. And second project, I'm going to work super hard, but I'm not going to get the extra credit. But I am going to go to the review sessions right here. So all of a sudden with this, that student who, just remember, where was I at moments ago? That student, and maybe I'm not attending class live. I'm not attending class live. This student was a B student. Student 2 was a B student. What is Brian Stevens going to get with this right here? Brian's not attending class live. He doesn't come to these sessions. I'm not even joking. This is me, everyone. This is my life. This was me in high school and a little bit of college, let's say. I started to be like, oh, there's a way to make this work. What is this student going to get right here? What will that student get? What does Brian earn in the class? A C minus. Exactly. A C minus. Because I'm not going to get the bonus. I'm not going to get the bonus for showing up right here. Hashtag show up. So they're going to get a C minus. It's okay. It's okay. Not the end of the world. But sometimes I think, especially, there's things that getting a C minus in Stat 1 will not do. So instantaneously, what is one suggestion you would have to this student right here? I love Frederick and everyone. What are you doing? Pivot tables? I bet pivot tables. My guess is on pivot tables. Or is it something, or is it regression? It's either a regression or pivot tables. I'm guessing a regression or pivot tables. My guess is regression or pivot tables. What would be one suggestion? Let's give this student one suggestion right here. C's get degrees, yeah. D's get diplomas. D for diploma, C for degree. What is one suggestion you'd give to the student that they could instantaneously bump themselves up to a C? And they might even be helping themselves with knowledge and everything. So what's one suggestion you're going to give to this student right here? We need to give this student a suggestion. We need to say, you would have a C if you did this right now. And you've got a long time in the semester. In Brian's section right here, you would have a C if you do this. I'll give it in like 10 seconds. Go to class, go to office hours, and you're going to get the bonus points. So now they're going to get the bonus right here. So we maybe should have put in a bonus category, but they're going to get the bonus of the 2 points. So now they're at a C. So, and also now, let's say since they're coming to office hours, they're going to do better on the Canvas content quizzes and stuff like that. We're going to raise their Canvas content quiz a good bit. Now they're still at a C because it's a pretty big range from 72 to 78. But if they were to improve their tests, 82 and 90, I hate to say it, and let's put this a little bit lower. Right now they're at a B minus. Normal distribution, yes. 68, 95, 99.7, yes. I should have guessed normal distributions everywhere. So I want you to look at this. What really hindered this student from being successful? Their first test was and to show you, it's not the first test. It's not the first test. What really held this student back from being successful? Was it the first test? So this student now, Brian, he didn't do well on the first test. Not just the project. You are correct. I mean, look at because not the first project. Don't worry, that didn't hold them back. I'll give him a 10 on the first project. And you see that didn't really hold him back. Yep. He went up 1 point. Oh, the quizzes, everything else, like all this right here, the quiz group, which quiz group 1 can't be changed, but watch this. You ready for this? Boom, now they're at a B. Right here, they get 100 on that. All of a sudden now, well, they're already really high on that. Homework, a little bit right there, but every little bit is going to start to add up right here as we see this change. And all of a sudden they get 107 on this, and now they're at the B+. So it wasn't really this first test right here that held them back because they went to a B+, but they're barely at a B+. So literally right here, the 50, it's about the same range. Does everyone see right here? Like doing well on all this. Like here, watch. So if I give them 100 on the first test, they go up to an 86.5. If I give them 100 on everything else, they go up to an 88.3. They have an A- now. So I want to make this super clear. And I didn't get this for a long time. They now have 100 on everything else. They still have the same grade on the first test. And they would have a what in the class with the bonus. They would have a what in the class with the bonus. They would have a what in the class with the bonus right now. And I don't say this jokingly. I have students who do well on the first test and then do poorly in the class. And this is the kind of student you should be. I'd be very happy with the student who does poorly on the first test and then figures out how our tests work. And with this right here, what did they make in the class? What did they make with the bonus? This is our positivity with student 3. So we're going to say do the work, an A-, and then look at this. I bet you right about here, super close. They got to get like that, right? No. It is still within reason. There we go. Now, and look at this. They can almost make B+ on the tests. Does this make sense? They can almost make B+ on the tests. And with the bonus, they have an A in the class. So you could be the student right here. This could be you. You could have made a 52 and be doing all the work. You can still make an A. Let's just show the last little thing right here. The worst possible grade that you could make. And that is the absolute lowest we're seeing. Like you could basically make a 29 on the first test. And if you are doing all the work with the bonus, you could still make an A in the class. If you are doing the work, that is super. It's going to count a lot towards your grade. So the 28 is basically the lowest grade. And I'll post this. Let's hop back here to space. I'm just going to save this file right here. Let's start talking about visualization number 8 just briefly here to give some advice on it. And then we'll talk some BS through 20. Does everyone got some positive? I hope we have some positivity now. I hope we're feeling, hey, we got this. You know, we got to just do the work. Email Brian, do the work, do the quizzes, do the homeworks, start early on them, do the visualizations, ask questions, watch the videos, anything you can do to like get your grades better on the assignments. That's the way to do it. So let's put here, Leslie, that's awesome. I like that. And if you are in the asynchronous, you have an even better pathway towards success. Sorry, I'd have to redo the whole because the points are differently. So if you're watching the modules in the asynchronous, you have even better availability to be successful. So great job right there. Let's go take a look. And do remember, we are kind of working with the test right now to give the points and do all these things. So your grade can only go up. So lots of positivity right here. I love it. Leslie saying we got this. You know what? We're throwing another 50 points. I mean, and what's really great is a lot of people have already earned the max. Like Leslie right there. Great job. You're almost to the next level. So at 5,000, you're at the next level, and it slows down on the points, obviously. But so earning these points is essential. Andrew is just gonna show everyone the craziness right there. Definitely check out Andrew's points. And Sarah, we're gonna start some visualization aid right here. Talk over that. So I'm pulling up visualization. Oh, we didn't put on some music. We just have to have some relaxing music. Some nice relaxing music. Hypothesis test for the difference between two means. Hypothesis test for the difference between two means. I sent out a tweet this morning to the baseball dude, Trevor Bauer. We need to get him on here to interview. If he's interested, only if he's interested. If he's not, totally fine. It's his call. Because he's super busy, I'm sure. I'm wearing the Cards shirt to like support that. He's not Cards, he's Cubs, I think. Okay. So with this right here, we are going to talk about hypothesis testing for the difference between two means. So the hypothesis test for the difference between two means, we've got here, create a 99% confidence interval for the difference of the averages between these people, include a screenshot. Include a short write-up of the 4 conditions one must check before forming a confidence interval. So this is difference between two means. So that's going to be that we have, anyone know condition 1? Snoop Dogg in this class. If he would, we'd do it. We're always open to that kind of stuff. What is condition 1? Andrew, you should know this. Remember back. I know, put Andrew on the spot right here. I say, condition 1. Andrew will know this. Watch this. I put good money on this. Condition 1. I bet he knows condition 1, condition 2. I'd love it if he does. Condition 1. Wait, no, not QQ straight enough. No, outliers plot doesn't thicken. I know you're all right on that. But now we're doing testing. And I would say, like, condition 1. Like, you'll hear me saying this later in the semester. And that's when you say something. I say condition 1, and you say this. It'll be the Y. It'll be the Y. Great question right there, Maggie. It'll be the Y variable. Wow, Maggie and everyone's working on this. Great job. You know. Random. Great job there, Kayla, too. Random. Condition 2. Condition 2. So if you're hearing this right now, you're practicing for the conditions for confidence intervals and tests. Condition 1, random. It's always random. Condition 2. Condition 2 talks about how much we shouldn't sample above. So we do not want to sample more than this. So I'm hopefully reminding Kayla and Andrew right here. Condition 2 is about how much we should not sample. It's always this. We shouldn't sample more than this. I'm trying to jog their memories right here. Because they're the only ones who know the answers. I don't even know the answers anymore. If they say they don't know, I'll tell the answer. 10%. 10% condition. Now, what do we do after we do condition 1? Condition 2, we do what? So you'll hear me saying this later on. This is how we review it and how we memorize it. Nice job, Andrew. Yep, 10%. We do not sample more than 10%. It's 10% condition. Condition 1, random. Condition 2, 10%. And then we pause. No, you got it, Andrew. You got it. So then we pause and we ask, what kind of data are we dealing with? And here we're dealing with quantitative. So quantitative distributions, we want to be what? Quantitative distributions, we want to look what? And this goes back to what Roderick and everyone else was mentioning. Quantitative data, we want to be normally distributed. So we have the what normal condition. I'm so honored if people remember this. It's all right if they don't. It's the what normal. We're saying the data should look something this normal. It should look normal, and it should look nearly normal. And this test right here, and so we're basically giving this answer right here on the conditions. We're talking about the conditions for it. So nearly normal. Nice job, Charlie. You got it. Condition 1, random. Condition 2, 10%. Condition, and then pause. Always pause. Slow it down. Don't do it. And then condition 3, good to see you, Charlie. And then condition 3, nearly normal because it's quantitative. And then condition 4, since we're dealing with two means, it's that they're independent. And do we say that up here? It's the difference between two independent means. So when you do this test right here, and I'll show you how to look at the output real quick. We need data that has, that data is not going to work. That data is not going to work. Aha, we have data. Is there 2 cars here or is there more? Let me look at this. Jump's got that cool feature now. They're all Fords. What's another type of car? Honda? Okay. We're making fake data right here. This is how we make data. That's how statisticians do. Okay, so now we have Fords and Hondas. And let's go ahead and compare the Fords and the Hondas. So if you notice here, the brand of a car is categorical. So let's go to Analyze, Fit Y by X, and we want to see if the brand of a car can explain the price of a car. Now, I may have, Alfa Romero, I may have done it randomly. I may not have done it randomly. Let's take a look at this. We're going to see side-by-side box plots right here, or we will in a half second. Here we go with the, let me zoom in on this so you can see better. We're going to do a t-test, and this is a what sample t-test. This is a what sample t-test. Hint, look at this screen right here, and this is good to remember. And t-test, Mr. T is mean. I'm sure he's a nice guy, and he's always welcome to come on the channel too. Mr. T is mean, and I only say that because T deals with the mean. So this is a how many sample t-test. We'd call this a what sample t-test. It's also in the assignment. 2 sample t-test because there's 2 groups. That's why it's 2 sample right here. It's 2 groups. And then we remember Mr. T is mean. I'm sure he's a nice guy. I don't say that jokingly. It's just, I don't want anyone to ever take offense to that. It's just a way to memorize it. Like Mr. T is mean. He's mean if you're doing drugs. If you're doing drugs, Mr. T is not happy with you. You should see that commercial. I'd play it on here, but we get copyright claim probably. So Mr. T is not happy. Go look up Mr. T drug PSA. He's not happy with you. And you should listen to Mr. T. So this right here is the analysis. And what do you notice right here? What do you notice? And it looks like I didn't do it randomly. Or we got a result that was unlikely. This is the what right here. Does everyone notice right here? This is a what. I see an upper and a lower. And this is really good for 320. The chat shouldn't have too much latency. Do this real quick. It's like probably like 5 seconds, Andrew, because there's a video latency. Type the number 1 and I'll tell you when I see it. I'll snap when I see it. Type number 1, I'll snap when I see it. So when you type 1, then you can count. Start counting immediately after. See it. There you go. Whatever the latency was, that's for you to figure out. So the confidence interval boundaries, you are totally right. And so, Kayla, you are right that this is the confidence interval. And what are we trying to estimate? Charlie, just type 1. What are we trying to estimate here right here? Can anyone explain what we are trying to estimate with these 2 groups? Yep. The video latency is about 5 seconds. What are we trying to estimate with these 2 groups, which is in the instructions? We're trying to estimate the what? What are we trying to estimate right here? What is this whole test trying to do? 4 seconds-ish. Which isn't that bad. I'm actually happy with that. And we might not have buffering issues anymore. I reset the router and the modem, and if that was the issue, I'm crazy. Speedrun? Do a speedrun of it? Well, so it's up there at the top. What are we trying to estimate with this confidence interval? So this confidence interval is trying to estimate the what. So it is a confidence interval. We can do a hypothesis test on it, but what are we trying to estimate with this confidence interval? We're asking, is there a difference? Exactly, Kayla. Yep. So does it make sense? We're trying to say, is there a difference between the price of Ford and Honda cars? So we're asking, is there a difference between these? And we observe a difference of this. So this is the observed difference right here. And you know what's really interesting? We've been doing this in 320 with the associate function. So if I could probably get the data over to R pretty, can I copy paste? I'm going to start talking about 320 here in a second because we can do this whole same analysis in 320 and it's done right here in Jump. So what does this p-value right here indicate to us, Kayla? This p-value would indicate what about the differences between Ford and Honda cars? What would that p-value right there, which is absolute difference, it's checking? That checks to see if the first one's greater than, that one checks to see if the first one's less than. This absolute difference right here, can you, oh yeah, let me change that. Good question right there. Yeah, let's change that. Right here is how to change it. Set alpha level. There you go. Let me zoom in on this. I think, yep. Good question right there. So we want 99. So here's how to do this, Sarah. Thank you, Sarah, for asking very much right there. And it is statistically significant. And now we've changed the level of confidence right here. You can see There it is. There's the confidence level. So once again, to change the confidence level, you need to go to set alpha. And this I saw brings up a really great concept that what is the confidence level? So think about this. So Sarah wanted to know how we can change it to 99% confidence. So what is the confidence level? It's what minus what. So does anyone see right here alpha? And let me draw it out. There's a simple formula we should know that whenever we're making a confidence interval, and so that's the reason I set alpha to 0.01. And this is why. This is alpha on a 2-sample test. And this is the confidence interval. So if alpha equals 0.01, and that's the total area, so that's the total area right there, then the confidence interval relative is a 99%. We usually talk about confidence intervals as a percentage. You could say, I would never say a 0.99, but does this make sense here mathematically, what we're doing? Like the alpha level is the outside rejection region on a two-tailed test. I know we haven't gotten into super detail on that, but if you change your alpha level, like by default, JUMP uses an alpha of 0.05. So by default, which is the usual statistical significance, by default, what is the confidence? What is the confidence interval it makes? By default, what is the default confidence interval that JUMP makes? So this is good review for test 3. Like if you're hearing this now and you're reviewing this will help. So 95% confidence. And you can see the formula up top right there that shows the solve for it, that we just say the confidence. And you can see it's just what we call the complement. So that's another word. So if you're hearing this right now, this is called the complement. The complement is 1 minus it. So this is a concept on test 2 when we talk about the complement. So the complement is like it's complement but with an E. So please remember these concepts. I'm actually mentioning a lot of things that pertain to 201 and 320 because this test right here that we are seeing is actually in 320. And I'm going to try to do it over here to start bridging the concept. So 320, we'll start talking about your material here now. Let me copy the price of the car. Let me go over to R, and let's see if I can do this nice and easily. I could just save it, but perfect, that's what I wanted. Okay, so let me go here to price, and let me make a vector. Perfect, that's what I wanted. You're like, Brian, that doesn't look good. I know tricks. I know hacks. Oh, you know what that means. You know what that means, everybody. Let's do it. Let's turn the music on now. We're doing this. We're entering it in a very weird way that I figured out. Nope, that's not the trick. That's the trick. We're hacking R. We got this. Look at that. We just put in like 599 commas. We don't need a comma there. So that's the price vector right there. Cool, the price vector is in the brain of R. Let's go get that other vector and put it in the brain of R. This is like the worst way of doing it. Some statisticians like, you could just save it as CSV. And I'm like, no, we're hacking it. So let's go here to brand of car. We're going to make a vector. We're going to put this in right here. And then we're going over here. We're going to go hack R. Now you have to make sure. Ooh. No. No. We might not be able to hack R. Music over. These are not what's right now. These are not what's. I might actually have to save it as a CSV. So what's the issue, 320? These are not what's right now. Because if I start doing this, you know what I could do? We're going to hack R still. Music's back on. We're hacking R. Let's do this. I just figured out a way to hack R. We got this. So you should notice something about this. I'm going to hack R here. We're hacking R still. We're doing this. There we go. Look at that. We are hacking R. There we go. That should store the vector. Let's open up a new sheet. Get that mess out of the way. Let's go to data frame equals data.frame. And let's go here to price equals price. And model equals, what did we just call that? What did I just call that? We got to do it by the end of the song. Oh, where'd it go? Brand. Model equals brand. Why not? Okay, there we go. It's the data frame. Oh, no, no, no. Is brand not a vector? Oh, okay. It says it's empty? Oh, I think our price store is something different. There we go. Associate function. We'll turn off the static so I can see it better. Associate function. We want to associate. So this is 320. And then we're going to switch over to your assignment. We want price tilde model. And data equals df. 320, what's the format of that? 320, you should know that format because that's coming into play for this assignment. 320, what is that format right there? That classic format we see all the time. 320, what is that format as the song ends right here? 320 should know that format. Y tilde x comma data equals. Y tilde x comma data equals. Andrew, is that a super important format for everyone to see? Y tilde x comma data equals. Y tilde x comma data equals. And we get basically the same p-value over here. We see the differences between the two groups. We have done it. We have done it. So excellent work. And we should see the same difference or so that we saw in jump right there. 1,863. And we see that over here, 1,863. So it's doing the same sort of test, and it is finding the same sort of statistical significance, a p-value of 0.01. And this is the same p-value right here. Just to draw parallels between the class, all three are not the same, but this p-value right here is the same p-value we're estimating. Does that make sense? Can you use ggplot to visualize this? Ooh, Charlie, such a great question. I am working on that. That's been something I wish we could just drop this into ggplot. We can definitely use ggplot to visualize it. I want to vote. Vote 1 if you want Brian to ggplot this in under 4 minutes, or vote 2 if you want Brian to start talking about the assignment. Start voting now. 1 or 2. Just type 1 or 2 in the chat. 1 is Brian ggplots this. 2 is Brian starts working on the assignment. You get to call this. 1 is Brian ggplots this. 2 is Brian works on the assignment. No one's voted. I can make a ggplot of it. Which actually I have. I can probably do it pretty quickly. 2. I'm going to try. I'm going to put a 1 minute timer on. Can I do it in 1 minute? I hope my neighbors know, man. Okay, here we go. I'll give myself 1 minute. Okay. Quiz 5 to March 8th. Which one is that, Kelvin? Are you talking about Canvas content? There it is. I didn't change the titles. Might take a look at that here in a moment. Yep. So, yep, you've got it right there. This is, so Charlie right here, I didn't change all the titles. So that's the 1 minute right there. But with what I have right here, you could look at the box plots and you could ggplot this right here. So hopefully this makes sense. This is a ggplot of the cars right here. And look, it even does the K for the 1,000. So we were able to ggplot this pretty quickly right here. Using one of the layouts I have for this. Does that make sense right here, Charlie? So we'll head over and start talking about the assignment. But we did it in under 1 minute because I've got some pre-written code for this. I didn't change the names of the titles, but that's kind of secondary to everything. Like it says pedal widths and all this right here. We could just change all the names and everything for all this. So that's got it. That's good to go. So yep, you could ggplot it. And look, ooh, there's some outliers up there, which you can see. So little bits of outliers for the Honda right there. Ooh, I bet they just made it from normal data. Let's start talking about the assignment right here. That was pretty, I always find these things interesting. And let me answer Calvin's question real quick right here. Calvin was wondering when we have the next Canvas content. Really quick for that for Calvin right there. The next Canvas content is on... It is on March 8th. And the Canvas content covers material from decision trees. And I think that needs to be moved back. So I'm probably going to move that back right here because I don't plan on doing decision trees. I plan on doing randomness today. So I need to move that back. I'll probably send an announcement. Thank you, Kelvin, for noticing that, because I like doing randomness right after the lecture and we do some fun stuff because everyone's probably a little bit burnt out. Great questions, everyone. Kayla and everything. Which thing were you wondering about with interpretations right here? So Kayla and 320, thank you for waiting so patiently. Which things were you wondering about? Kayla and everyone with 320, what were you wondering about? 320, floor is 100% yours. I'll put a note right here. 320, assignment. I do not know how to spell. 320, the floor is yours. 320. What questions are there on interpretation? I might start talking some general interpretations right here. Let me see if Kayla asked something previously. If you notice, just want to point out again, especially practical significance. Oh, which one asked about practical? Let's go look at that. Great question, Kayla. Practical. Okay. Mathematically explain R squared. And this is something we just did in 201. And also 201, if you're listening, this will come up in decision trees. So decision trees have R squared. So mathematically explain R squared, show your work, and interpret its value. Oh, yes. This is for the ANOVA, right? So let's do an ANOVA right here. Do we have one that we can do right now? So an ANOVA looks the following way. Let's talk about the ANOVA. Okay, cool. So right now my model, let's look at my model. Be careful not to include too much output. We wouldn't want this. Not needed. Do not include here. So watch out. Once again, I do a bunch of extra work. The reason I'm looking at this right here, this is something we did yesterday in class. This model right now is doing what? Let's make sense of this right here. This model is doing what right now? Like, what does this model do? Yeah, exactly. What is your R squared right now, Kayla? And here we'll talk about R's right here. Like, we have a model that's currently stored in here. I call it M for model, and then we'll talk about like R's, and we can actually see R squared right here, and I'll show how to calculate it in a moment. So I'm going to show how to calculate R squared in a moment, which I think you might have done already. Once we see how to calculate it from the ANOVA table and understand where everything kind of works, then we could talk about whether or not it's statistically, like whether or not it's practically significant. This is very, 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 very statistically significant. So what is this model though? What model does Brian currently have stored in here? And can you explain kind of like, this is a model right now doing this, because this should tell us some important thing about the code I've already written that stored this model. So if we know this format right here, we can tell what model Brian is making. We can also visualize it. We should probably look at the visual while we're talking about it. So there's the visual of the model, and that gives a good bit more information. So your multiple R squared is that. And so the adjusted R squared, we haven't talked about yet. The adjusted R squared is adjusted for how many variables are in the model. So don't worry about the adjusted R squared quite yet. But that is going to be adjusted for how many variables are in the model. It's a penalized R squared. It'll come up in multiple regression. So the adjusted R squared, don't worry about it yet. But it's an adjusted R squared, because think about this. If you add more variables to the model, it makes it R squared always goes higher. So this one's adjusted. Linear model of height can be explained by weight. Exactly. Great answer right there, Kayla. Let's throw some 20 points to the chat. That's like, I was just going to say it's height being explained by weight, but you added that's a linear model, and that is important information to know that the model we are fitting is linear, and we are explaining height from weight, and you can see it right here in the visual. So with this right here, let's take a look at our ANOVA table. Let's clear the output, and let's focus in on the ANOVA table right here. So when we do a regression, there's only two spots. Perfect. When we do a regression, there's only two areas where we could either explain something or not explain something. And when I say something is not explained, that means that the points would not be on the model. It's going to not show it. It's going to be way too big for the model, however large I make this window. Oh, well, it just looks horrible now. When we are not explaining something, when we are not explaining something, it means something has a what. Like these points right here are perfectly explained. These points right here are not perfectly explained. Like that point is very badly explained. So when something is not explained very well, it'll have a very large what. And just think about it in absolute value sense. So in terms of absolute value, something would have a very large what. Don't worry about the negative or positive nature of these, but when something is missed, it'll have a large residual. And what do we do to the residuals to make it so that it doesn't matter if they're negative or positive? What would we do to the residuals so that it doesn't matter if they're negative or positive? What would we do to the residuals, which would then doesn't matter if it's negative or positive, it just matters how big the residual is. What would it do? What could we do to them? So it wouldn't matter if they're negative or positive. It just matters, oh, that's a big residual. It's very far away. We square it. And then what do we do to find out how big the residuals are total? We do a sum of the square of the residuals. Does that conceptually make sense right there, Kayla? Like we square them because this one right here, this negative one, when we square it, it's just going to be a positive value by squaring it. Negative squared is positive. This one right here that's smaller, like any of these up here that have a smaller residual, which is how much we miss by, we would see that these are going to, when we square them, be smaller. So you square it, and then you sum up all the residuals. So what we have right here is this is the sum of the squared residuals. Like if you took every residual and squared it and summed it up, this would be the sum of the squared residuals. I'm going to mention briefly an advanced concept, which is going to come into play right here. There's two models. Square each residual interleaved in exactly the sum of the squared residuals. Exactly, Kayla, that's exactly it. For a very small model, it would look like the following. The sum of the squared residuals, because here's going to be your line, and if you had a very, very small model, the sum of the squared residuals, like if this was 1, so here's what, and let's pretend this is 2. So literally when you do the sum of a square, so what would the sum of the squared residuals be in this model right here? Oh, that's positive 2 technically. Oh, wait, positive 2. And this is negative 1. What would be the sum of the squared residuals for this model? And ooh, I don't love it for a certain reason. What is the sum of the squared residuals in this? Because you could have done it another way and gotten an answer. So what is the sum of the squared residuals in this? What would be the sum of the squared residuals? So we'll pause right here and think about the sum of the squared residuals. If my drawing was super perfect, it'd be so good. 24 exactly. So you're basically finding the area right here. Like you're going to, like this, hopefully, you know, it's like that has an area of 4 right here. Like if you were to literally divide this up, so that's what the sum of the squared residuals look like. You would be squaring and summing them. And so the sum and the residuals always add to 0. And so think about, so Charlie, you bring up a great point, which we talk about in 201 especially. The residuals, if you look at it, add to 0. So if you were to add the residuals all up, which was just on the 201 test, all the residuals would add to 0. But if you take the sum of the squared residuals, you'd get 24 right here. So there should be 24 blocks total if you do the sum of the squared residuals. Now, there's a second model, and this is super important, Kayla, especially for 320, and we call this model, ooh, I wonder if Andrew knows it. This is the no-knowledge model. Andrew might not be watching right now. This is the no-knowledge model. So if you have no knowledge, you would be naive. This is the no-knowledge model. And where does the naive model look to be? The naive model is where, so that notation we should know right now. The naive model has no knowledge. So the naive model has no knowledge. And so where is the naive model at? Where would the naive model be for quantitative data? Huge note. I'm going to put it in the chat. So the naive model for, no, that's all right. You're like, I just came to hang out, Brian. The naive model for quantitative data is at the mean of the y variable. So I just want us to think about what the naive model means. Kayla, let's say you go out and talk to a random person. How much, you wouldn't randomly ask them this. If you talk to a random person, how much do you think they weigh? You're not just a random person, random adult. I'll say that they're an adult. Oh, well, see that I'm giving you information. The naive model has no information, just random person. Random person. You talk to a random person. How much do you think they weigh? Random person. I'll tell you my answer. I'm thinking of an answer right now. I wonder if let's see if yours is close. Talk to a random person. How much do you think they weigh? Just completely random person. How much do you think that random person would weigh? Completely random person. You're not going out and talking to an older person, younger person, 140. And you're probably trying to do like the mean, right? You're saying, well, like women are a little lighter, men are a little heavier, and like that's about kind of a between for what people do. Andrew says 1,000 pounds. That's an interesting guess, Andrew. You would guess the mean. Does that make sense? Like if you had no knowledge, you would guess the mean. So guess what the naive model also has? The naive model has a sums of squares total. Good. Ooh. Okay. So the naive model misses this one by +2. I need to do that in a different color. Do it in red. Naive model misses this one by +4 also. It's actually got a very similar miss on it, ironically. And the naive model misses this one by -5. So what is the sums of squares total here from the naive model? This is a very complex topic, Kayla, and I'll answer your question 100% fully here in a moment, but you're learning the big concept we're going to be learning in lecture with the naive model. So the naive model would have a what sums of squares total? So we just figured out the sums of squares regression, or the sums of squared error, a lot of times called, was equal to 24. We did that one in black up there. The sums of squares error is 24. And the naive model has a sums of squares total of what? What is the naive model? So I'm figuring out in my head right here. I think I know what it is. I'll see if Kayla can remember. 45. Yep, we just squared all the numbers. You're just taking all those numbers and squaring it. So you're just taking all of those numbers and squaring it. You're just squaring all those numbers, doing a square. Now I want us to think about this. This is the amount of variation there was left to explain. That is the amount of variation there was total from the naive model, like the total variation there was in the y variable from the mean, which think about when we do variation, we're talking about how much does it differ from the mean. Like that's what variation is, like standard deviations is variation from the mean. So this is the total variation to begin with. And check this out. Sums of squares total over 1 minus the sums of squared error. What would you like the sums of squared error to be? No, wait, no, that's wrong. I got one error right here. What would you like the sums of squared error to be? What would you like the sums of squared error to be? Like it'd be super awesome if the sums of squared error was this. Like what would be, that's weird. What would be really great for the sums of squared error to be? Like theoretically, you would love for the sums of squared error to be this. Theoretically speaking, you would love for the sums of squared error to be what? Theoretically speaking, it'd be great if the sums of squared error was 0. So what would you get mathematically if the sums of squared error was 0? What would you get mathematically? Well, what would you get mathematically if the sums of squared error was 0? Then what would r squared be? It'd be 1. So that would this is literally the formula for r squared that we're showing right here. Like this is equal to r squared. So this is the formula for r squared right here because it's the amount of variation that we are explaining over the total variation that exists. I have class in 10 minutes. Awesome. Let's go straight to this. You ready, Kayla? Thank you so much for telling me that. Check this out. So when we look at the practical significance of this, which r squared can be calculated the following way. We were just showing the formula right here. The sums of squared total is the following. This is the total variation that exists. And then we look at how much we've explained right here with this. So there is right here, don't worry about those 15 warnings. This is r squared. We can also confirm this by going to the summary. Don't break r. And we can confirm that this right here is the r squared right here. Same answer. This is the r squared. So let's look at this ANOVA table and talk about the practical significance of this. Would it be important to someone? This is how we have to talk about it. if I know someone's height, it would tell me 36% of the variation in someone's, or if I know someone's weight, it will tell me 36% of the variation in someone's height. That sounds like it gets me 1/3 of the way to understanding somebody's height by just knowing one variable. And in this case, I would say that this is very practically significant because weight seems to play a large part of the variation in a variable. But in instances, hint, hint, where we only have about 5% of the variation explained, and maybe I think, are you explaining demand, Kayla? I think you're explaining demand. So it says, anyone listening to this is big hints for this assignment. I think you're trying to explain demand for your question, and then you only have about 5% of the variation explained. So while someone could leverage, all these are big hints, with only about 5% of the variation explained, while someone could leverage, everyone's going to write this. I'm okay with that. While with only 5% of the variation explained, which is statistically significant, make sure it's statistically significant before saying that it's practically significant. With only about 5% of the variation explained, someone could attempt to leverage this to increase demand, but it'd be better if we find, it's average wind speed and average temperature. Yeah, and it seems to me like knowing 5% of the variation in average wind speed by knowing the average temperature, although it might be statistically significant, double check to make sure it is before saying it's practically, although it might be statistically significant, doesn't seem to carry that much practical significance because we don't really have any sort of utilization of this knowledge to make actionable decisions. So that's how I would communicate to my boss, like, yeah, I don't think knowing 5% of the variation in average wind speed, since we know the average temperature, is really going to help us make actionable decisions that are going to meet our goal of increasing bike demand or somehow having better bike kiosks. Does that make sense? I'm just saying, yeah, cool, we understand 5% of the variation and it's statistically significant, but I don't think that's going to lead to any important decisions for our company. Does that make sense right there, Kayla? So hopefully that directly answers. And thank you so much, Kayla, for hanging out this whole time. And I hope that gives you a really good kind of give away the answer. But I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that, Brad. Does that help with it, Kayla? But sometimes it's exactly, sometimes 5% of the variation explained, like especially like exactly like with stocks. You said it perfectly. That's always our example right there. We always talk about like if you have a 5% understanding of the stock market, like the variation within it, you could leverage it that over time, just this is not that important of a variable to us. And understanding 5% of the variation is just going to be like, well, that's cool. I mean, yeah. And do remember we're talking about the R squared being 5%, not the p-value. The p-value for whatever we're doing, I think, is very, very low. So Kayla, excellent work. More questions. We still got 20 or so minutes. If you got questions, feel free to ask them. Kayla, so how do you feel about this one, Kayla? Pretty good? I know you probably got class like right now. So feel free to, I don't know. But no, Kayla, excellent work. Great job working ahead. And hopefully, I know Dr. Petrie replied, I want to look more into maybe this weekend, all this stuff. So I have to decide whether it's important. So if the question had to do with sports, and I understand sports, you could say that. If you feel like a question, just tell us that, and especially let us know with the grading. So if a question ever does like sports analytics and you're like, I don't really understand sports, because we try to avoid those, even though sometimes we do put things like that on there. We've put things like, like pay at the pump. And I did have a student ask me, what does pay at the pump mean? They were not from America and probably not driving cars. So they, like in America, so they didn't really understand like when you pay at the pump, like when you like use your credit card to pay at the pump. And this was like 10 years ago. My God, I'm getting old. When it wasn't as common, you sometimes go into the store. So we try not to put questions on there that might require some prerequisite knowledge, especially if it's ever on a test, let me know. And we always try to be fair on the grading. So I try to put as little sports stuff in there as I can. Sometimes we'll put like a preface, like it's important in baseball to have a good WAR statistic. So this is super important. So imagine if some pitcher, so for my sports people, never pay at the pump. Imagine if, because they've got the scammers and stuff. Imagine if like a pitcher understood 10% of the variation in what could increase their WAR. So WAR is wins above replacement. Andrew, no. Andrew, no. Go electric. Oh, that's a good advice. That's a good advice right there. I like that, Andrew. I like that. Personal opinions with Brian Stevens. So if a pitcher understood, Ahood, so good to see you. So good to see you. I'm glad to hear that. Good luck. You've got this, Ahood. We had people earlier telling each other they got this. Positivity, Ahood, so good to see you. Let's throw 20 points for positivity. Seeing Ahood jump in here. Cullen's here too. What? Good. Do you guys have any questions? I mean, I don't teach her anymore. We're just talking about regression modeling right now. Everybody, I know. I'm doing better this semester. I'm drinking coffee again. Awesome. See you later, Kayla. Switch over to Zoom. Got some 474s coming in saying, hey, good to see you. Ahood and also Cullen. Oh, man, you guys got this. It's really great. What questions are there? Stat 201 just had their big exam last night. So Stat 201's like, oh, we're gonna sleep in. It's 2 p.m. your guys' time, but everyone's still asleep. Everyone's still like, it's nap time. You know what we have this semester you haven't seen yet? I was drinking tea and it was like helping but not helping like me feel better, because last semester, students probably know, I'm doing a good bit better. I'm like, last semester I went down to like 40% power. Mubot, you know about that?
I am Mubot.
You are Mubot. You are Mubot. So that's he really doesn't say much else other than that. He doesn't talk.
Okay, Brian, you think I don't talk? I talk all the time in your class.
Yeah, I have to go away from him to talk. I never get to see him talk. Thinking so much going right there. We got other craziness I can show off. This is your guys' office hours. If you're here watching right now, you get to ask any questions. So, but I'm drinking the tea. Not the tea, I'm drinking the coffee. We also do another thing this semester. Whenever we need to have a serious talk, things usually get a little bit crazy. I'll show you guys. We'll do some of our fun effects. So, oh, that's awesome. Everyone, what is going on? You know, I like this one better. I like this one better because all of a sudden, everyone knows what happens when you hear this music. Craziness is about to...
Oh my gosh. This is when we have to get serious in Stat 201. This is Evil Mubot. He can take away your points. I never know which side he's on because I'm mirror imaged. But Evil Mubot can take away people's points. Sometimes he's good Mubot, sometimes he's bad Mubot. But I am the boss. I take away
points. Wait a minute, now we're back. Where's my other thing? I'm gonna go over to my car now. I'm just having fun right now. So showing the former students the new stuff. Do I not have the car? Where's my car at? Must not made. Here we go. Oh no! Why is my car not here? Oh, am I off the screen? 1 second, everybody. Where'd my car go? Up. Yes. Woohoo! Thank you, Hood. I was off the screen right now. Just hanging out in my car. If you have questions, let me know. Some weekends I just start making stuff up, and I'm just like, let's just do some craziness right here. This is how I get to UT now. If I ever have a DeLorean, that'd be awesome. We've also got a new mode right here. Let's go show the other new mode. Let me turn off the music. This is the best part of the music, so while we're just having fun over here. We've got a new mode. We did it earlier. Music's about to end. So our last new mode, we'll just show the fun stuff to former students. So I like showing all this stuff. And I have to remember all the new things we have. So we've got a mode called Hackerman. So now whenever we're doing like some hardcore coding, like we're like, okay, let's get serious here and let's start coding. So we start going to Hackerman mode. Aw, thank you so much, Ahood. So we get serious here and we're like, okay, let's start coding. We actually did it earlier today. And yeah, like when we're like serious, we're like, this is gonna be crazy coding. So we do this right here. We go 80s mode on this. And probably people's favorite this semester, Tiny Brian's got his own camera now. Tiny Brian is a lot easier to call for. Oh, turn off that. So
Tiny Brian can just...
He can appear a lot quicker. So I worked on getting Tiny Brian to be like,
Tiny Brian.
And so I can just click off my cameras. He's got his own. I used to have to like be like, let's get Tiny Brian in here. Blah, there he is. But there he can do that. So I fixed that up with the Stream Deck. Then also we have Puppet Shark. Puppet Shark, you're a little quiet. And we got...
Where's my Puppet Shark? Here's Tiny Puppet Shark. Tiny Brian has Tiny Puppet Shark. And
regular Brian has regular Puppet Shark. Oh, that's so great. That's awesome. Hardest career mode right there. So just figured I'm ranked in the top for the nice job. Nice job right there, Andrew. Yeah, that's like the hardest mode ever. So like, gosh. Exactly. So that's some of the new advances we have. Um, but yeah, no, I'm super excited about this. Yeah, thank you. And it's really, you know what's interesting? I just mean this. It's actually the students. And so this is more of a chill day, I guess. But if you have a question, if you're 201, 320 right now, you have questions, as I just hang out with former students, they're just swinging by office hours right now to say, hey, you can ask them. Just remember, you can always jump in and ask your question. You can always come by if you're a former student and say, hey. And it's so crazy because of who Andrew took my class before I was 100% online. And then he also took classes online. And Ahood, you never actually had in-person classes. I think you took 201, 320, both classes with me, and then 474. And I'm honored because you, like, well, you're always, I mean, you're in the upper level classes, so I'm not going to talk about anyone's grades or anything. But excellent work. That's all I'm saying. Very proud of my students. And also proud of Andrew and everyone too. Colin, proud of you too. But I think what's so interesting, and I'm really happy about this, is I've never had an in-person class with Ahood, and yet I actually know your name when you come into chat. And like, of course, I'd be honored to write you a recommendation. You've done exceedingly well. I'd be honored to write Andrew a recommendation. Colin, I've already written some stuff out there. Am I teaching 471? I might be actually teaching that. I think I am teaching 471 and one of those. Which one's Capstone? I think I'll be teaching Capstone next, and I'll be teaching 475 in the summer. So Andrew and Ahood, let everyone know this summer Brian will be teaching time series. So this summer I'll be teaching time series, and then I think I'm teaching Capstone. I think 479. The numbers are. Why do we have so many 470 classes? We got. Oh, thank you so much, Ahood. Yeah, and it's just crazy to me, like students who I've never like had in person. Who I'm glad this format works so well that we can communicate, we can talk, we can have a conversation, and we can actually learn the material. Yeah, let them know. Say Brian's teaching time series in the summer, and he'll be teaching Capstone. And then the plan, I'll kind of mention that plan real quick. So the plan is sort of, we're talking about naive model, all that good stuff. So I think right now the plan is, so summary. You know you've been coding too much when your brain just types that. Stat 201 mini, BS 320, session 1, and I'm also doing Stat 201. Is this right? I just had it open a little while ago. Here, we'll put this first. I think I'm doing this. Yeah, I think so. It's gonna be an interesting summer. Then, maybe I'm not doing boss. Maybe I can't remember. I'm super excited about this though. This is gonna be okay. So there looks to be my summer. I think I'm doing that. This is, let's put an asterisk next to this one, and then fall. I think I might be doing Stat 201 online as usual. I think this is, I took notes on this as we went over this. Oh, it's going to be an interesting semester. I think like the stars are like my positivity level is a little lower. Maybe I might, am I doing a, my schedule's never constant. My schedule's never constant, which is all right. I'm all right with that. Someone's like, Brian's done. No, it's just I'm always trying to think what I'm doing. This, if I have 4 preps, that'll be very interesting. I've never had 4. I know I've had 3. I've done 3 preps multiple times with this prep, but 4 preps would be, and it can get super confusing with monitoring everything for your classes, like monitoring who's doing what classes at where, what class is a test. And I do want to say this, so we'll head off here in a second, but what super helps Brian, because I everyone's probably like, Brian, you're so insane about that email title, but I'll get emails that will just say something like, Brian, or first off, okay, so I'll get emails that say, Professor Stevens, I have to take 9 hours of 4,000 capstones. Yeah, we got you, Andrew. We'll help out. I am in your statistics class. They'll sometimes say which class. I was wondering if possible, maybe could you, you know what, usually sometimes the email is no title. This is how to not email me. So Andrew, do you remember how to email me? Does everyone remember how to email Brian? Like I'll get like this right here and I'll have to like figure out what class someone is in out of 700 and I'll have to go search for it. So so the title of the emails, whatever class you're in, it always goes the following format, like Stat 201, and then your initials, Brian J. Stevens. And then we would go right here and we would say like test question. And then you can just literally start out. You could just start, or you could say Brian. That's what I like to be called. And then you could say like, when is the test? It's on the syllabus. When is the test? And that is all you need to do right there. Exactly. So we'll make sure to do this. The reason this is first, and it's like the dividers of it, that tells me what class you're in immediately. So I can look and see and be like, boom, and I see it. And then the initials right here are just used to separate it. So that way, sometimes I've had problems where emails stack. So this just makes it so everyone's email has like a unique thing, because there might be a lot of emails that say like test question. And then for some reason they were stacking in my email account and it looked like I replied to one that it was actually another one. So the first semester I did it this way, and then I still had that issue. And then I did this way right here. Yeah, exactly. And then also Discord. Discord's really great for getting to do it. And so I don't know if you're in the Discord or not. And 474 is welcome to use the Discord. They're welcome to communicate, hop on the Discord, chat with each other. We've server boosted it, I think, for the whole year. So I went in and just bought server boost, so that way the quality on the server is better. And I think 320 is using it a good bit. But with that, any other last questions? Thank you so much for swinging by, Ahood and Andrew. It's so good to like, I don't know. It's interesting because, you know, I don't see my students in person anymore. So awesome. Yeah. If you want to use the Discord, if you want to meet with people, to share screens, to talk, to text, to things like that, we have their thing. Discord is better in mind. Yeah, exactly. Noel, you're right. And I will say this though, don't worry, someone's done it. You only need to message me on Discord or email. So usually what I do is when I'm doing when I have emails to respond to, usually I have I'll look at my email and I'll have 40 emails. So I'll go through and I'll do all the emails. So Brian always starts from the bottom up on emails, and he'll do all 40 emails. And then I'll go over to Discord and I'll look to see the Discord messages. I'll start on one of the two and I'll look over here on Discord. And usually Discord has viewers. So and good to see you here, Noel. Let's throw some points at the end. So if you have questions, let me know. But I always go over to one of them and I pretty much try to clear it because I just try to focus. I know I'm very ADD. So I'm okay, I'm just going to go to emails. I'm going to get 100% caught up on emails. And then I switch over to Discord. So I do understand someone's maybe oh, well, he didn't reply on email yet. I'll message him on Discord. I promise I will get to both of them, or I'll get to it. So with that, any other last questions? No, thank you so much. I'm glad people are using the Discord. 320 has been using it a ton. 201 is using it some, and people message me on Discord, which is awesome. So either one is 100% great. Just people sometimes message me on both, and I'm no, you only need to message me on one. I will get to it. I promise. I promise. I think that's got it. We'll head back here to space. Let's put on some music. Let's throw some points out. 50 points, everyone here at the end, hanging out. So hanging out, get some points, put on some music. Let's go here to this one. We're listening to this one. Nice and chill music. We got so much more music now, Ahood and everyone. Good times. You're welcome, Noel. Thank you so much. We're here for positivity. We're here to help each other out. We got this. We talked about... Are you in 201 or 320, Noel? At the start of the stream, we talked about the test, and then we talked about visualization 8, and then we went over and talked about 320. A little more of a relaxed day today. So if you're in I think you're in 201. Correct me if I'm wrong. 201, yes. Good, yes. Someone says, Brian, you know your students. So check out the start of this stream. We just talked about the test. Hope you did great on the test. If you have any questions, let me know. Mubot, do you have anything to say to anybody?
I am Mubot.
That's all he ever says. With that, we will head off here, but we will be back Oh, no worries, Noel. You got this. You got this. Here, I'll show you really quick. We built a so hop over to the main screen. We built a grade thing. So if you're in the asynchronous, it's even better. We didn't build it for the asynchronous though. I'm sorry, asynchronous. We have right here, let's say you didn't do the best. We figured out that someone could make a 28. Thank you so much, Ahu. Thank you for the positivity. We have right here that someone could make a 28 and that they could still make an A in the class. They just have to be doing everything. So the key to success is to still do all the work. So even if you made a 28, which I don't think you made, you could still do well. If you made something like, let's say 72, which maybe you could still, and then you could still, let's say, make an 88 on these tests, and you would still have an A. With a 72, wow. With a 72, you would need just 80s on the test. But the big and, oh yeah, let me post it. 74? Yep. So with a 74, if you're doing everything else, if you were doing all the work in the class, then you could still, like, whoops, that's a lie. You could make, basically, you just need to make a little higher, and you could still make an A. But what's the key to success? Doing all the work. So I'm going to post this up here in a moment. We'll go one more thing right here. Or which class are you? I didn't break it, did I? Okay, there we go. So we'll put one more song on. One more song. Okay, let me post this. Are you in the main class or the asynchronous? I have the percentages listed. So, like the weights. Let me copy this over. So, there we go. There's the weight. I'm fixing it as we talk. Okay, there we go. You're the asynchronous? I can fix it for the asynchronous. Give me a second. Okay. I'm making an asynchronous version right now. Okay, let's put it right here. There, okay. So give me a second. I need to make the asynchronous version. The asynchronous has an additional category. So we're going to put it right here. Insert, shift rows down. Oh, why you break my cool looking thing? I want it to shift the whole rows down. There we go, there we go, there we go. I don't want it there though. Can I put it right here? Insert. Okay, good. If I don't do this now, I'll forget. Okay, we're gonna get this going. Good. Things looking nice is very important. Okay, so we need to change the weights for the asynchronous. Give me half a second. I'm going to put in the weights. Oh, we're good on time. We're good on time. We got lots of time. Got all the time in the world. We got a DeLorean. That's what we got. So the asynchronous... Oh, I did do this correctly, right? Please tell me I wasn't looking at the asynchronous percentages the whole time. Oh, no, they've got the modules. They're going to be very different. Their tests are down-weighted. Okay, good. Asynchronous has lower percentages for these tests. Is that where I took it all? The percentages. Projects are 12% as the other thing are. Canvas content 10, visualization 7, 666, and then 5% MyLab homework, and then the module completion is 15%. So, and then got it. There's good in the face. Okay, so it's got the asynchronous one. And so this has the asynchronous right here. And did you? I think we got it. I think we've solved it. So if you got like a 74 on exam 1, you could still make like, if you're doing all the work, I'm not even joking. Exactly what I thought. This is craziness right here. Wow. It's actually kind of scaring me a little bit. Holy mackerel. What are you noticing, Noel, because of the down weighting of the test in the asynchronous course? What is the super important thing right here that is worth more than all the tests? This is where we're ending with, and I'll post this later. So you'll find it posted. I'll probably go post it now. What are you noticing with the asynchronous? Do the work. You're exactly right, Noel. So do you still feel like you can get an A with this 74? Do you feel like, we got some motivational music in the background now. Do you still feel like you can get an A with this 74? Like, let's say you missed the project. Do you still feel like you can get an A? Because you can actually make 107 on this. Wait, why did that not change? Ooh, something's going wrong here. Project average is messing up. No, no, no. Oh, that's got 100. That needs to be the formula. Oh, so I broke it. 2 seconds. Oh, I didn't make this totally... Should have like a thing saying, do not change this. There we go. And then that needs to be times by 100. So like, do not change this. Like, this needs to be a different color right here. You do not enter into this cell. Do not change that cell. Where's my color change? We need to make it a different color so people know not to change it. Okay, that cell will not be changed. So, yeah, exactly. So I was like, why is this not changing for that? I think that's got it. That's really good stuff. Let's put on... I don't like that one. I'm going to probably remove that from my soundboard. I might just listen to this one. I'm okay with that. Okay. That's got it. There we go. Let's bring up the other one. And let's go here to project hours. Let's change the color of it. There we go. Okay. I'll go post these and I'll be teaching here soon. But this right here is some positivity for us. I want these to be a different color. Cool. I am too much of a... Things have to look perfect. And I had the other one without the borders. So no borders, and then this border. I must stop eventually. I took away those borders. Is there no left border? See, that's not a... That's just... Oh, and then we need to go... Oh, no, watch this. Watch this. I could sit here all day and probably try to make this look better. Yeah, okay. We gotta stop. We eventually have to stop making this try to look better. With that, everybody, bye for now. Bye! I'll post this in a moment here. Bye, everyone.